There are people that's holding you back and you don't see that they're holding you back. In order to recreate a mind, the mind has to go into environments that make them comfortable. You have to be very uncomfortable in order to become the new comfort with self. When you're willing to remove yourself from environments, right? Most people don't want to move on because of the fact that they're comfortable. And comfort is the devil. Comfort is the devil, because comfort will give you a false pretense of success when you don't realize that you're not successful because you believe that you are based on your comfort. Comfort can make you feel like you're somewhere you're not.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Today's topic, guys, is who is to blame? Who's to blame, guys? You know, I see a lot of finger pointing, but I don't see people holding themselves accountable for a lot of decisions they make. We got to get to the point where being grown is being grown. We got to stop acting our shoe size and start acting these big ages. It's scary when people aren't responsible. And I'm going to start this off by saying this, man, your family losing is because of you. Somebody going to get mad, I don't care. A man is supposed to put his family in position. We are destined to be providers. And I'm not sitting here saying a woman shouldn't help you. But I'm just saying, as a man, you should be ultimately making great sacrifices to put your family in a better position. So if I walk in your house again, and I always say this statement, if your lights are off, I'm looking at you, men. And if your house is dirty, I'm looking at you, women. We got to hold ourselves to what it is. There has to be standards. And you know what somebody going to say? Well, my girl pays her light bill. I'm talking about you. This is diabolical. And the sad part is, a man that leaves the front door closed and don't close his back door leaves room for a man to come in his back door and take his situation. You got to realize, guys, a woman respects provision. So the moment a man doesn't hold himself accountable to what he believes that he should be doing, a man is a fool if you believe that a woman's supposed to struggle with you until you figure it out. That is diabolical. That is diabolical. Listen, a woman is not supposed to meet you, struggle with you all the way until you figure it out. What if you never figure it out? Then her whole life is all about struggling? I'm going to go on record and say this as I always say. A woman is not, in most cases, gold diggers because most men don't have gold to give the gold digger. They don't have gold. More women are actually something called stability diggers. What I mean by stability diggers is every woman, for the most part, looks for stability. Stability is what creates comfort for a woman to submit. If a woman does not see stability, a woman will not submit to a man. Man, we got to stop trying to move the goalposts and call it what it is. And I'm going to go on record furthering saying that a woman comes out the womb with value. A man has to earn his value. If a man doesn't understand that, doesn't mean that man is valueless. We have to earn our value. It's okay. Because as a man, you should always look at a man has to accomplish. A man has to achieve. A man that's achieving ultimately has way more sense and more value than a man that does it. And the reason being is because a man that achieves holds himself to a higher standard than a man that doesn't. They make better decisions. They're more conscious. An unconscious man is a dangerous man. If I walk past a man and a woman arguing, right? And the man is screaming at the top of his lungs and the woman is screaming at the top of his lungs, I'm not scared of the woman, I'm scared of the man. Because a man that lacks self-control, lacks self-moral, self-value, self-principle, self-integrity, everything across the board. A man has to have morals. And again, if your woman and your family is not in position, it's because you don't care about the position you put your family in. But I always say this. If the woman, right, is quote-unquote the blueprint to success, and all your value is going into a woman, then the value you should be having, it should be on yourself. Every time a man is successful, the woman benefits from it the most. Let me say that again. Every time a man is successful, the woman that he with benefits the most. Because naturally, the woman will enjoy the house more. Naturally, the woman's kids will live and their children will live in a better situation, which makes the woman even more comfortable. But the people that don't talk like that is the people that's living in denial. Logic says 1 + 1 = 2. Some of y'all seen y'all math tests and y'all put 4, 5, 6, and 7s on a 1 + 1 a mathematical equation. You're trying to make it accommodate your poor behavior. This is diabolical. That is diabolical. So I'm asking, who's to blame? Is it your parents? A lot of people still blame the opposite cultures for their behaviors. You spent your whole check and then you're going to blame the opposite culture for you spending your whole check. They should have never made that Louis Vuitton luggage. That was nice. That's what they say. That Louis Vuitton luggage tricks you out of you building your life. When you are an unconscious human and can't see that my money going into my children's education is more valuable than me putting myself on a vacation, then you already have the wrong premise of life. You're trying to take shortcuts. So I'm asking, who is to blame? Everyone points the finger, but they don't see that 3 fingers are being pointed at your one. But again, you're going to sit there and say, oh, they didn't teach us finance. Your mother didn't know finance. Okay, I'm going to go on record and say this. Your mother didn't know finance. Your mother still don't know finance. And you mad at your mother for not knowing finance when she didn't know finance when you was a child. She didn't know it when you was a young adult. She didn't know it when you was an adult. But yet and still, you're holding your mother accountable to something she was never taught. And yet and still, you never educated yourself on learning. My favorite line. Your mother didn't teach you how to have sex, but you figured it out. That is diabolical. This is the culture. Everything is about blaming someone other than blaming self. We got to hold ourselves accountable to some of our decisions. I sit back and watch people do the most foolish things, but yet and still they don't hold themselves accountable to nothing they do. Right? I just want to say this. Just think about how unfair it is to a parent who was taught how to struggle, sustained struggle, because let's keep it real. The knowledge that's accessible today was not accessible in most of our parents' generation. Anybody that's around my age or after, I give it up to like 45, right? Anything behind that, in most cases, let's give it even almost 50. The knowledge was not there. There was not YouTube. There was not Instagram. There was no Google, right? And a lot of us couldn't even afford to have a house phone. So we're talking logic. But you're mad at your mom for not teaching you something or your dad for not teaching you finance. When we grew up, the whole culture was all about keeping a roof over your family's head. It got so bad to the point where people don't even care if they keep a roof over their family's head. When I look at my mom, right, I want y'all to hear this good. When I look at my mom's goal was to walk barefoot. My goal was to get one shoe, and my next children, which is my mother's grandchildren, their goal is to get 2 shoes. Let me say that again. Listen to that. My mother walked barefoot so I can have 1 shoe, and my goal is to give my children 2 shoes. So therefore we have feet. Our feet are finally covered. But when a person that's considerably an adult does not care about anything that's after him, therefore the person does not matter. For instance, my last name is Brown. I look beyond myself to the point where I'm willing to sacrifice myself so that my family can be better. It's not about me. When you don't realize that it's not about you, then you're going to always have less. Everybody don't understand that when you see family, that's when you see value. Where there's no family, there's no value. It is one of the number 1 premise that you see that is attached to success. Family. It's diabolical when you see the broke fighting against the broke. Your sister broke, your mother broke, your aunt broke, and y'all can't come into one big broken home and start putting things together. That is diabolical. That's our culture. But who's to blame? So I'm asking, is it the other cultures or is it the decision-making that we're making? I sit here and see, y'all watched the video the other day, and I want you to hear this. I watched a video that showed the woman celebrating getting a divorce. 5 years later, she's mad as hell at him when he wants to take custody or take visitation with the child. Because she didn't find Mr. So-and-so that she thought was right. Because sometimes when you think Mr. Right is not there in your household, sometimes it's because your Mrs. Wrong. Sometimes Mrs. Wrong got Mr. Right. So she can't appreciate Mr. Right because Mrs. Wrong is Mrs. Wrong. And therefore also you have Mr. Wrong dating Mrs. Right. And when you have Mrs. Right dating Mr. Wrong, you're going to always have that problem. Some of us can't see ourselves. We don't blame nothing on ourselves. Right? This is what we do. Right? Black consumers hold significant buying power in the United States, with an estimate ranging from 1.6 to 2 trillion annually. That means yearly. Look what we're spending. The biggest consumers on earth. But yet and still, we do not want to hold ourselves accountable. This is power. It's not just about the amount, right, spent, but it's also about the influence black consumers have on trends and their preference for brands that align with their values. Notice the word values. I watched the video the other day. I'm going to take a shot at Louis Vuitton. I don't care if they get mad. I don't wear you anyway. Right? I don't wear you anyway. I wear Empower Dynasty. Right? But again, I saw a video. There's a video. It's like, where them fans at? You know that song, Where Them Fans At? Make sure y'all put that. And now, Louis Vuitton magically just dropped a fan because they trying to monetize on my culture. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going on record. Somebody going to get mad. There's a lot of coaches that want to attach themselves to the culture when it comes to benefiting from the culture, but they don't want to be black when it's time to really be black. There's a lot of people that talk crazy about black culture, but they monetize on black culture so much to the point where they don't want to be black. And I'm nervous because they're educated blacks that actually devalue undereducated blacks when they don't see this undereducated black didn't have the same opportunity as you. But yet and still you frown and look down on these people. You're the devil. How can you look down on somebody for having less when you are more fortunate? If anything, you should be putting a ladder to help people come up. But you're going to laugh at these people? You had a 2-parent household that was healthy, and this person barely had 1 parent in the house. And then you wonder why this person made poor choices? I'm not justifying behavior, but I'm trying to use a logic to why someone can be the way they are. A mind can't grow past with the environment that it sees. In most cases, the fish grows to the size of the tank. If you notice, you take a fish, you put him in the ocean, the fish becomes way bigger than it can in a tank. Because a tank limits its growth. But the ocean allows you to grow bigger. Let me say that again. Black people spend $1.6 trillion to $2 trillion annually on garbage, clothes, shoes, sneakers, cars, marijuana. I asked a kid the other day, he got mad as hell at me when I told him, I do not know, and I'm going to say this on record, I don't care. Maybe my lens is small, but I don't know nobody that's not an athlete, entertainer, celebrity, or a musician that smokes marijuana every single day and they're very successful. I don't know nobody. I never in my life thought I would see the day when a substance abuser believed they can be successful. So I'm asking, who's to blame? You sat there, you called your drug dealer, told him to drop off the Zah, and then you got high. And then you're going to blame society because I'm stressed out. You're stressed out because you're trying to skip corners. You're trying to skip steps. I ain't never seen somebody jump 3 stairs up on a ladder. You got to climb slowly up the ladder. But we want to skip steps. Again, I'm asking, who is to blame? Who's to blame? Bring it down. Who's to blame? Right? Bring it down. Who's to blame? Right? But again, our culture is very influenced by things that make them look like they're wealthy opposed to actually being wealthy. It's sad when our resources being utilized to not elevate the next generation to go to the next level. Watch this narrative. I want y'all to hear this good. Let's say hypothetically your parent lived 80 years. If your father and mother did nothing for you financially, guess what happens when you're born? That means there's 80 years of inflation that your children is going to suffer because mommy and daddy didn't do anything to put their children in a better position. It's beautiful just to get a degree. But again, you coming out of them institutions with a lot of something called debt, right? So guess what? Your children are in a worse predicament than they ever was. We have the highest generation of Gen Zs living with their parents and they're in their 30s. This generation. Because social media has created these mentalities, right? There's no building wealth. It's all about looking like wealth. All we're doing is trying to look like wealth, right? The average American reads at a 7th to 8th grade reading level. 7th to 8th grade reading level. You want to know why a lot of times that people don't value education? Because there's 2 E's. Watch this, Viv. There's 2 E's. One of the E's is something called education. The other E is called entertainment. Black people are more comfortable with spending money on entertainment than they are spending money on education. We believe that I want to be entertained. You're willing to pay to be entertained, therefore giving someone revenue, right? Never getting anything in return besides a laugh, a giggle, a joke. But yet and still, education should be the #1 value that we should be investing our money in. But we'll spend tons of money on going to a comedy show. We'll spend tons of money on going to Mary J. Blige. No disrespect, Mary, I love you, the queen of R&B, and I'm gonna give you a round of applause. It's not no shade. But I live in New York, and if you see the amount of money they just spent on this Vibe Cartel concert, diabolical. That is diabolical. And the sad part, the people gonna go back to a bad situation. Someone asked me, was I going to the Cartel's concert? They told me he had a suite. He told me for me and somebody else, $850 a piece. I told him, I said, nah, Monday morning, guess what? I'm buying stocks, buddy. Not doing that. No, no, no. Not happening. I'll sit that one out. If you're gonna spend $1,800 for a concert, you might as well take yourself out of the country. Go smell some new land. Right? You know what I did? You know what I did today? I looked it up on YouTube, the Vibe Cartel concert. I watched it on YouTube. I had my Jamaican flag unstoppable. I was having my fun. And guess what I saved? Guess what I saved? I saved $1,800. But again, we don't want to be blamed for the behaviors that we have. We love to point the finger, guys. Right? Let's go.
Quick question. So how do you feel about like the job market now? I feel like a lot of people, especially millennial and Gen Z generation, are not able to find as much jobs and they're not working. What do you think the issue to that is? Do you feel like you can't just apply anymore? Do you think you have to get up, network, and find your way in a room? Like how are people gonna find jobs in the next couple of years?
Let me hold that. Still don't leave yet. I want to ask you a question. For your question, but it's back into why I'm asking it. I'm gonna land it. Jobs are considerably institutions, right?
Of course.
And the institutions are who create employment.
Right.
We're so busy looking for institutions to employ us, but we're not talking about creating institutions so we can start employing ourselves. That's really the problem. Being codependent on institutions is what keep you always in a position where you're codependent on an institution. As I said before, we make $2 trillion a year annually that we waste. Therefore, money should be invested in black institutions. Therefore, we can gainfully employ our own. I cannot be mad if I go to a white institution and see that the president, the VP, and the CEO, the CFO, and the COO are all Caucasians. I cannot be mad. Because as an institutional holder, he has a right to employ who he likes.
Right.
If I go to an Asian facility and this Asian facility has an Asian owner, chances are Asians are going to be in position of power that economically elevate their culture. But if we don't look at logic and we look emotionally, I should be the CEO of Apple. You better bite that apple because that ain't never gonna happen, fam. It ain't never gonna happen. We talking logic. Do I believe that institutions should give fair, equal opportunity? 100%, right? But in the same breath, we're looking for opportunities from institutions that are, a lot of times, and I hate to say this, and somebody gonna take this wrong, but I don't really give a damn. I talk my mind, I speak how I feel. A lot of people are intimidated by black culture. I'm gonna say it. Because if you notice, and and I want y'all all to hear this first. Hold on, watch this. You know why I say a lot of cultures are intimidated by black culture? And somebody gonna look at me like, oh, watch this. Just move. That's it, just move. It's that simple, right? A lot of coaches are intimidated by black culture. Watch this, Tyler. The reason why I say that, how many black people have you ever met that said that we went through slavery, but yet and still said that they want to go do something diabolical to Caucasians? I don't meet nobody that talk like that. You know what I meet people that say? They just want equal opportunity, right? They want their just due. They want respect for the ownership of the land that we helped create. I don't meet no black people talking about they want to hurt a Caucasian because of what our ancestors went through. I don't meet it. And if it happens, I guess I'm not in those rooms. But again, we're looking just for equal opportunities and the rights to actually put our children in the same positioning that these children are having, because life is about leveraging. When you're in certain environments, it's easier to leverage yourself out of that situation financially because you're in an environment where it procreates heavy earners. When you put on an institution that you actually graduated from a certain institution, aren't they more inclined to like you? Why is that? Because of the credentials that you have from that institution. It is the same thing when you're graduating certain high schools. When you graduate certain high schools, it's the same thing. You're basically walking these people into the next chapter of success. Once you put on the application that you graduated from a certain institution. A lot of people don't understand that if we don't buckle down on our predominantly black areas and go hard on the educational systems in these areas, a lot of times these systems are pushing our children through. A lot of people I meet, their children are not high school equivalent and they're grown as hell. They're not high school equivalent. So when you sit back and blame other coaches, I'm like, wait. I don't sit here and go combat white culture or Hispanic culture. I look at it, how can you change your culture? Because there are a lot of things that a lot of these other coaches are doing right that we need to learn from. I think we need to create a level of humility and learn that, hold on. When I see how other coaches are behaving with their economics, pooling money. I live in New York, and if you go down something called the Conduit, the biggest houses along the Conduit is owned by Indians. And Indians will put 5 and 6 and 7 of their family members, different families, your family, my family, your family, they'll live in this big house to the point where they don't even have a backyard, and they'll put their family under one roof and they economically pool their money. So when I ask this question, we're broke because of your goddamn self. That's why we broke. It's our unconscious decisions that makes us not realize logic, right? I'm gonna show you something. I got, when you meet people, right, some people you just in line with. And no matter how you look at it, when we heard as a culture, I realized that there are so many cultures inside of one culture to the point there is no one defined culture in black culture. There is so many cultures inside of black culture, meaning different mentalities. Culture is based on the way of thinking, the way you carry yourself, the way you conduct, right? The things that your accomplishments, these would make a culture. There are people who believe hip hop is the significance of black culture more than they believe in the actual movement of black people coming out of getting through civil rights. There are people that believe that. There's a saying that the great Harriet Tubman, who I call Moses, right? Who we call Moses. Moses said that, right? Black people, right? She said this. This is what Moses said. This is her quote. She said, she's quoted for freeing a lot of slaves. And she would have freed a lot more if they knew they were slaves. And a lot of us are slaves to these institutions that we're crying about not doing anything for our culture. Right now, an NBA player can create a sneaker and save 75% of proceeds. I'm gonna give it back to the black culture. Black people won't support it because you know why? It's probably not a Nike check on it. It's not an Adidas check on it. It's not a New Balance check on it, right? Because all we do is we don't set the trends no more. We follow the trends. We followers. We used to set the trends. You know, I go to a high school and speak at a high school and everybody look like little clones. They're clones. There is no more individuality. There is no more expressing yourself. There's everybody trying to look like everybody, trying to blend in with everybody to the point when you look on social media, everybody looks like they're in the same damn locations. And they still have the same level of success. And this is the cap that we're seeing right now. This is why black culture is losing. It's no other culture but us. It's our behavior. Will I say there are things that are created to keep you backwards? Of course. But guess what? When you know that they're the superior being, of course, I'm going to put things in a way to stop you from getting there. The moment black people realize who we are, the moment we become successful. But if you constantly tell who you are, you're going to always believe what you're told. Because last time I checked, that word says his story. History is his story. And a lot of us believe his story rather than our story. That's the truth. His story. This is our culture, guys. Right? Wealth does not look like what we're taught. Success does not look like what we're taught. You can see a person driving a luxury vehicle, struggling in it, but yet and still think that he's doing better than you because you got a hoopty. I'm gonna give you a quick story. One day, I like to walk. And to me, walking gives me peace, it gives me zen, it allows me to release. So walking is a healthy thing. Black culture have gotten so diabolical that if you walk, they're gonna look at you as broke. They look at you as broke. Yes, because you walk and you broke. There are people who are scared to even walk in their neighborhoods because they don't want to be looked at as broke. They don't want to ride a bike for their health purposes. They go, nah, they ain't gonna see me as broke. You crazy? But I'm gonna show you something. Let me finish the story. So one day I'm walking from my house to the gym. And while I'm walking, a guy pulls up on me that I actually know. He's driving let's say a Benz. He says, yo, Q, yo, you walking? Yo, bro, hold on. You too rich to be walking. I looked at him and said, what? I said, you ride the train next to millionaires every day and you look them up and down like you don't even know who they are. So I said to him, so you telling me walking to the gym from my home, what, I'm a bum? He said, that's what society gonna see you as. You're gonna be looked at as a bum. I said, then I guess I'm a bum. And I said, yo, brother, I don't care what people who haven't done anything with their life have to say. Because 9 out of 10 times, the people that talk about you is the people that have nothing else to talk about because they got nothing going. When a person got too much motion, they not trying to slow down their motion for nobody else. I got too much motion to be worrying about somebody else's motion. Way too much motion. But I'm going to finish my story. So as I'm walking, when he said this, I looked at him and I said, brother, I want to teach you something, but I know you're going to take offense to it. He said, nah, I'm not. I said, you about to pull that Benz in a landlord's basement when I just left a multi-million-dollar home that I own. I left a multi-million-dollar home I own, and you just left, you about to pull your car back in your landlord's right in front of their house and go walk into the back door into the basement. That is diabolical. That's diabolical. But again, he thought he was saying something to me. He was playing me. This is our culture. Go ahead.
I even see so much people won't even, so somebody could get hired by like Wendy's or Walmart and that's the only job they have to get money. They won't even get the job just because it looks bad. Because
I'm going to keep it 100 with you. The one thing I love about my generation, and I'm noticing it's changing, is Tyler, you're a little younger than me, and Viv, you can relate to this, right? Black culture laugh at people for hustling. They laugh at people for hustling. If I go do Uber Eats, I'm considered a bum. But how about this? What if I was going on vacation, wanted some extra cash, and I had some free time to blow? Because we know that money is measured in time. So if I'm selling some of my time to get some money so I can have some more fun when I'm away, what's wrong with that? I'll give you a story. One time I called the Uber. I get into the Uber. The first thing the Uber driver said, and I know him. First thing he said to me, guess what? Yo, you know I don't do this for a living, right? I'm looking at him like, yo, I didn't ask you that. He goes, nah, I just want you to know because I'm just trying to hustle because at the end of the day, I'm hustling. And I looked at him and I said, yo, brother, any man or woman that laughs at a person for hustling is a clown. So you would rather that person sit at an ATM and wait to rob you? Or would you rather them get over there behind and go collect cans? There's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong with hustling? Go ahead.
Crazy thing that you mentioned that too, because I know a couple of coworkers that either do Uber Eats, Amazon, or DoorDash. It's like, that's not frowned upon. It's like, you're just trying to find other ways to get money. Because right now we live in an economy where you have to have multiple streams of income. I know 6-figure earners who still have to hustle. Because I hate to say this, in most cases, more money, more problems. Not only more problems, more expenses come with making more money.
More money, more problems, but more expenses come with making more money. And if we don't look at that logic within itself, then we're not thinking logical. More money, more problems. The more money you make, the more bills you'll get. Good.
Also, I want to circle back, even though we already talked about the Vibes Cartel concert. I'll say anybody that has to pay $1,800 for a concert ticket, and I'm going to bite off you, your parents are first cousins.
Listen. Listen. When we talking logical, logic is not influenced by your emotions. Logic is influenced by sense of common. Let's say it again. Sense of common. Put it together, turn it around. Common sense. Logic is not backed by feelings. It's not backed by sense of common. It's backed by common sense. And I ain't talking about change. Yo, guys, we got to wake the hell up. We got to wake the hell up. A lot of us are scared of being the outlier, the outcast. I'm going to tell you something. If you save your money, in most cases, you automatically don't fit into most black people. Let me say that again. If you save your money, in most cases, you already are the outlier in most black culture. A lot of us don't save. We cry about being broke and waste all of our resources. There is a saying that I want you to quote me on this and look at me good when I'm saying this. Act your age, but also act your goddamn wage. There are a lot of people that don't act their goddamn wage. This is why they're financially behind, that's trumping their age. You a 30-year-old man with $16 in your account and overdraft fees every other month. That is diabolical. But why is that? Listen, and let me say this on record, because I know people will misquote me. If you're paying all your bills and you're broke because you're paying your bills, let me give you a round of applause. And I want to say that because I don't want nobody to think I'm trying to play him that's out here working their behind off. Because I will always root for the underdog that's out here working their behind off to elevate their family into a better position. So let me make sure I establish that, because a lot of times people misquote people. They'll take a 13-second clip and make me sound diabolical. But guess what? I don't give a damn. Because I know what I meant when I said it. But what I'm trying to say is we are a culture of people who don't see that we can change our situations by working together. Unification is the ultimate #1 source to elevating. Watch yourself. All my people on my live right now, all my people watching this episode right now, all my people on Facebook, all my people on TikTok, answer this question. Every culture that's successful, do they work together? I'm going to wait. I wish I had the Jeopardy sound. I want y'all to comment. All the cultures that are successful, do they work together? I'm going to wait. Someone said yep. Someone said yes. I should see a lot more. Yep. Yes. Yes. Someone call in right now. Talk about it. 516-253-1150. Someone call in right now. We're going to take a call in. Someone call in right now. I want y'all to call in. Let's talk about this topic. Because again, I don't come on here to throw shade on my people, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a big, black, proud black man. Big, black, proud black man. I am not confused with who the hell I am. I know, right? But in the same breath, we have to learn that how can we elevate when we can't be honest with ourselves? How can we grow? We don't see that we're not nurturing the ground where we need to fertilize. We're not watering. We're not planting anything to harvest. I'm going to give y'all a gym, and I need somebody to hear this. Let me shake that off. The devil's a liar. But I want y'all to hear this good. A job is an institution that you go to, ultimately receiving payment for your time. Let me say that again. A job is an institution of a place that you sell your time to. So just imagine every time you sold your time, they paid you in seeds. And every time they pay you in seeds, if you don't go home with your seeds, going back to your own institution, planting your own seeds at your institution, then you'll never be able to harvest anything from the seeds that you've planted. Otherwise, ultimately always needing the job because of the fact that you did not plant anything that's gonna harvest you anything that you've planted. A lot of people complain about their job because they overly indulge in their job. Go do your punk 8 hours and go to hell home. Stop trying to be friends. Go do your damn 8 hours, your job as effectively and efficiently as possible, and go to hell home. Stop worrying about your 9 to 5 and start worrying about your 6 and after. Right? Talk about it. What's going on?
Somebody just asked, how do we get the black people to unite? And I agree, because I feel like over years we always talk about this. We have to come together, We've been saying it forever. What is going to take us to actually come together?
Let me ask you a question before you hang up. Before you get off this, let me ask you a question. If we go to war, will there be casualties?
Of course.
So we have to accept that there will be casualties in the art of war. Right now we're at war. And you have to understand that all black people cannot come to the finish line of success. There will be casualties because there'll be people working against you, ultimately hindering us more. Look at this. Look at this analogy. We're in a boat, right? Let's say it's slavery time. Me and you are in a boat. No, it's 3 of us. Me, you, and Vivian in a boat. And everyone knows to get to freedom, we had to go what? South or north? North. Hold on. Say it with me.
North.
Okay, north. Right? The south is where...
Yeah, north.
Okay, we got to go north. So if I wake up the first day, I row us north. The second day you wake up, you row us back south.
South.
The next day, Vivian just woke up and rowed us back north. You know, and then the next day you wake up, you row us back south. And that's what we have to understand. You know what I would do with you? I'm going to throw your behind off the boat and realize that it is what it is.
So you're saying we're doing counterintuitive actions we're taking steps forward, and then somebody does something and then it just puts us 10 steps back.
Yes, because we got to realize that you cannot save everybody with the art of war. You have to go to war knowing that there will be people that won't make it. There will be people that won't change their mentality. There will be people that hinder the culture more. There will be people that hate me because I talk what I'm saying. There will be people that work against us. And this is the logic. But once we accept that fact, then we can change the fact that we are the reason into our failures. Because at the end of the day, nobody makes me go waste money on garbage. I don't care. And I want everybody in my live to hear this. If you don't see Shein, Temu, and all of these companies, how cheap they clip merchandise is. Yo, did you see that video the other day with China? They showed you the same glasses that they make for Prada, and all they showed you that is the same exact glasses, and all they do is ship it to Prada and literally just put the Prada logo on it and ultimately sell it to you for $400. Did you see that? But guess what? We're going to continue to waste our money on the same premise, and then we're going to blame the opposite cultures for our poor behavior. No one made you go put 22-inch rims on a Honda. No one made you do that. No one made you, yo, I got to go, Ken. Yo, I got somebody I know personally who don't have money to put cheese on a Whopper. And yes, I'm dissing them because I can fight. I will say it to their face. So anybody on my live hear me say this, I know how to fight. So therefore, anything I say about somebody, I can say it to their face. Because if my mother always said to me as a child, and I want you to hear this, right? My mother always said to me, don't do nothing you're going to be embarrassed of. I don't do nothing I'm going to be embarrassed of. So I'll be waiting for somebody to call me out on something. Because I'm like, you damn right I did do it. I'm not doing nothing I'm going to be ashamed of. Because I know there's a hater sitting there right now with a ledger holding on to wait to try to cast and throw stones at me. They waiting. But don't see the nature of my heart, my character, right? My character is to try to help elevate the culture. My character is trying to make people think better. My character is trying to lead us to a better space psychologically. But I'm the supervillain because of the fact that I care about the goddamn culture. Because it's one thing to go up the mountain, but it's another thing when you turn left and right and nobody looks like you but your goddamn self. And the only person that'll be comfortable on that top of that damn mountain is a selfish bastard. And I said the word bastard. Think about that narrative. You get to the top of the mountain, you look left, you look right, You look in front of you, you look behind you, and nobody look like you. But yet and still on your way to climbing, you didn't want to help nobody. You went past people, and guess what? You didn't tell them the routes. You didn't tell them how to get there. You didn't want to help nobody get there. Because a true king or a true queen, right? A true king or a true queen is one who actually can help others learn how to build their own kingship and their own queendom. When you can help other families become greater, then you are the greatest person on earth. But again, we look at life as, I look good. You know, my mentor always uses this analogy. Watch this. And I want my ladies, y'all gonna get mad, but I don't care. Y'all gonna get mad. She said, look at a room full of women getting dressed to go out that night. The moment the girl lends her friend a shirt, if she goes out and somebody compliments her, she gonna be like, that's my damn shirt anyway. She look good in it because it's mine. She said, that's how we think. We wanna see people win, but we don't wanna see them surpass us. Look at that analogy. Let me say that one more time. You have a room full of girls getting dressed to go out for the night, and one of the main girls lent a girl, say a blouse. She goes out, she gets a compliment. Soon as she walk away, the guy say, yo, you look good in that blouse. Now the guy stays there with her, the girl that left with the blouse. Yeah, she look good in it because it's my goddamn blouse. And let me guess, she ain't gonna try you. This is how we think as a culture. Person got a Benz right now. It's nice, but it's a C class. Some of the people that complain about your C class ain't got no class. Right? And I'm going to say this. It's not about wanting nice things, it's about how you acquire nice things. It's not about wanting nice things, it's about how you acquire the nice things. Because I'm going to tell you something. Paying for a liability with your hard-earned labor every day is back-breaking to you to the point where you're going to actually break down eventually, paying for a liability. It's not about acquiring, right, nice things. It's about how you acquire the nice things, right? Because there's somebody that got that same sneaker you got on that's expensive, but yet and still they didn't pay a fraction of the price. Because you know what? They went to China and got that same shoe and put Prada on it. They went to that same vendor that created your Prada shoe and they put that Prada logo on that damn thing and they rocking it just like you. You know how many celebrities wear fake jewelry? You know how many celebrities wear fake jewelry? I realized how much more successful than I was in a lot of celebrities when I started being around a lot of celebrities. I started realizing they're just cap clout and attention seeking and they only got names and notoriety, but they have nothing. They don't even have a primary residence that they own. They don't even have a primary residence that they own. Think about this. Let's talk about this logic. 1 million streams on YouTube equates to about $5,000 to $6,000. 5 to 6K. Let's say a rapper's doing 10. 10 times 6 is what? $60,000 for a video. His lifestyle costs $60,000 a week. Look at the logic. And the sad part is the person that's working hard, right, is not seeing, and I always say this on record, the average millionaire is 61. You got a lot of people that haven't hit that level yet, and they're believing they're gonna be the exception to the rule. You're just not old enough a lot of times. You're just not old enough. And I'm not telling you to wait till 61 to get to your $1 million status, but you gotta be disciplined. You gotta be consistent, you gotta be resilient. You gotta be willing to do what others aren't willing to do. When others aren't sacrificing, you are sacrificing. You gotta hold yourself accountable to how you spend your money. Because I'm gonna tell you something, the worst employee is the one who don't pay themselves after every shift. Every time you put in hours at a job and you get a paycheck, how aren't you paying yourself? Because you're your first employee. You're your first employee and you don't even pay yourself first. You pay Uncle Sam and everybody else who don't give a damn about you, clearly only looking at you as a person that's gonna pay us, but yet and still you don't realize you should be paying yourself first. That is diabolical. Someone call in 516-253-1150. 516-253-1150. Go ahead, Tyler.
Someone said, do we need to change our narrative and teach the kids perhaps to chase a different dream?
One thing we need to teach is our children how to be family again. You know the one thing I love about our generation, Viv? We grew up with our cousins. Right. We grew up with our cousins.
And with grandma in the house, too.
And grandma in the house. But you know the sad part is most people can't afford to be in the house with their cousins. What I mean by that is the parents don't have enough time to bring their cousins together. But the best thing I love about Spanish culture is the fact that, you know what, we're going to bring each other to each other. We buy one big old home, and guess where we live? I went to my boy's house. He's a roofer, and his wife works at a laundromat. He owns a big old house. He has the main level. His brother has the upstairs, and the other brother has downstairs. You know, you go in his backyard, he got a basketball court, he got a soccer field, he got a trampoline, he got a damn pool, he got everything in his yard. He said, Q, I cannot afford, he said, I can afford comfortably, let's say hypothetically, $3,000 a month. He said, comfortably, I could afford that if I had to, me and my wife. He said, imagine 3, my brother 3, and I do 3. His 3 times 3 is what? That's $9,000. You know what a $9,000 mortgage look like? Yo, if you get a mortgage that's $9,000, you got a monster home. You got a suite on top of suites on top of suites. Your house got 2, 3 kitchens. $9,000 mortgage? You talking about at least a $2-3 million home, right? But again, we don't believe in working together, but we're going to still look at ourselves, not seeing our behaviors, but ultimately working against each other. I got broke sisters talking about, I don't need that heifer. Y'all heifers need each other. Y'all heifers need each other. Yo, they're like, I don't need, I'm like, sister, you're struggling, and you don't think you and your sister need to work that out? Y'all need to go to therapy together or something. But y'all got to figure this financial thing out. Because I'm going to tell you something, regardless of whatever you feel, at the end of the day, struggle will make any person young feel old. Bills will make a young person feel sick, right? I'm just talking logic. We got to start working together. Yo, you know the dopest thing, and I always say this, and I want this to be heard. I watched a husband and wife go through a divorce, but stayed under the same roof because they didn't want their children to leave out of the good neighborhood. The mother realized she couldn't afford the good neighborhood. The father realized he couldn't afford the good neighborhood. So guess what? They said, we're going to stay under the same roof. We got one rule. You're not allowed to move no man or no woman up in this house. But yet and still, you take your level, I'll take my level. He stayed in the basement, the family stayed upstairs, and they kept the family together. And guess what? Both of their children graduated from Harvard. But he knew that if I left my wife, all right, and I left her alone, right, we're not just going to say Mexican, Spanish culture, period. But not just Spanish culture, Indians and Asians also do it too. Indians, Asians, every culture is doing it except our culture, right? We just got to realize that at the end of the day, and you know the sad part is, and I want to say this, imagine Tyler coming from a broken home and then creating another broken home. Look at that narrative. You come from a broken home, you know that your family had no unity. But yet and still, you didn't choose people to unify that could elevate your situation so you can have a different trajectory. So for instance, if I come from a situation where my mother struggled, I'm going to find a woman that's going to help us elevate. Because it's one thing when we talk, I don't want a doormat. I don't want a woman that can walk all over. I don't want a woman that can talk crazy to. You know what I want? I want a partner. I want a damn partner. Because I realized the last time I checked, Michael Jordan was under 500 before he got Scottie goddamn Pippen. Michael Jordan was not winning no championships until he got Scottie Pippen. He started winning when he had a teammate. Our culture need to realize that it's us. Who's to blame? Us. We to blame. Go ahead.
Now, everything you're saying, just a statement. I feel like it starts with the emotions, because we're very emotional, egos, the jealousy, the envy. That is really setting us back as people. Would you agree? Like the emotional part, the feelings, the envy, the jealousy, the hate. Like this.
So you said envy, jealousy, hate,
ego.
All 4 of those are sicknesses. That's the cancer to the culture. But what happens if the body has cancer? It will ultimately make the body deteriorate. It will kill the body. So in order to heal the body, we have to eliminate the cancer. And if we're looking at the black culture as a body, if we don't heal the cancer that's in our culture, it's going to eventually kill off the culture. And that's exactly what's happening. A lot of people can't see that it's our behavior patterns, it's our decisions. We don't realize that we don't work together. Look how fast that either A, the young people want to run away from their parents' house to go pay real bills at somebody else's house rather than pay bills at their parents' house. It's just diabolical. You want to rush out of your parents' house because you want to go either A, pay for an apartment because you don't want to pay your parents' rent. Think about this logic. I'm willing to give a goddamn landlord $2,000, but I wouldn't even give my mother $1,000. You are diabolical. Your mother gave you 20 plus years of living for free. And you couldn't reciprocate none of that by saying, let me stay here and help her?
You're not even gonna stay and pay for the groceries?
I want you to stay on this mic real quick. Let me ask you a question. Your family work together, right?
Yes.
Y'all just bought a beautiful home, right?
Yes.
From 1 through 10, the area you used to live in, how good was it? 1 through 10. 10 being good, 1 being
The area you used to live in?
the area you used to live in.
I'll say about 3 or 4.
A 3 or 4. Now the area you live in is currently at what?
8 or 9.
No, I'll give it a 10, boy.
10?
I know where you come from. It's a 10, bro. You're in a great area, bro. Great area. But that's because his family decided to do what? Work together. If the culture don't realize that logic, you're going to continue to have poor situations. I'm sitting back watching people right now struggling because they don't see that the unity is what's the problem. The unity is the problem. It's not that we cannot, it's the fact that we don't want to work together. Because I don't want to see somebody shine more than me. And that's really what we need to acknowledge. I don't want to see you shine more than me. I want to see you shine, but not more than me. And that's the problem with our culture. You got people who cannot steer the goddamn boat, want to be the captain of the goddamn boat. You're the worst player on the goddamn team, but you want to be the leader. This is the culture. Let me go into this. Only 45% of black holes were in the middle of the upper wealth tiers. The majority, 55%, were in the lower wealth tier, meaning that less than $41,700 is their wealth. This is our culture. This is the culture. And we gonna sit there and say, it's someone else. It's not me. Listen, sister. Your family could have been a broken family, but it's on you to remove yourself so far from the tree you started at that you plant yourself in new soil, that you start harvesting better fruit. Did you hear that statement? Your family could have been the worst on earth, but it's on you to take your seeds, plant them somewhere else, so therefore you can harvest better. Because I'm going to tell you something, to procreate the same mentality that you come from is diabolical. You see the kids that used to be hood? Their parents were hood, right? You don't notice they hooder? They're diabolical. They got no soul. But why is that? Because of the environment they come from is getting worse. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. But if the tree, right, the apple uproots itself further enough from the tree in better soil, it would eventually start harvesting better fruit. Right? Let's keep going. And this is what we don't talk about. We don't talk about it. As a culture, we need to realize that we got to start working on ourselves. I'm going to give you that. That is diabolical. It's diabolical, guys. I'm pro black male, and I'm comfortable with it, right? But again, we don't want to hear anything that makes us have to reflect and work on ourselves, right? Anytime you talk about the culture, someone will always find something to justify behavior. I'm gonna tell you something, I want y'all to hear this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want y'all to hear this really well. Watch this. And I want y'all on my live, yes or no. Every time you hear somebody say that black people are on welfare in Section 8, notice they always bring up another culture that's on Section 8 and welfare. Do you agree? 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 Yes or no, guys, on my live. Do y'all agree that they always do that? I want to show you something. There's a reason why I'm asking. Watch this. Someone said, I want y'all to answer that question. Every time black culture mentions that we're on welfare in Section 8, a lot of us are, they always bring up another culture, right? You know what that's doing? That's like, no, stay this, watch this. Imagine if you have two kids and one of them hit each other and they always tell on each other all the time. There's no accountability, right? So what happens is you ultimately accommodate an excuse because all you do is move the goalposts because you're not addressing the issue right then and there. The issue is we have a lot of black people on welfare. But the issue is I don't care about what other cultures is doing. I don't care. I don't care. If I live in a certain neighborhood and I'm worried about what the other neighborhoods are doing, guess what? I'm not fixing my own goddamn neighborhood. If I'm too busy standing over my gate looking at somebody else's backyard, I'm not seeing what the hell is going on in my backyard. In order to fix the culture, we got to worry about our goddamn backyard first. I'm not worried about what's going on in your goddamn backyard. I'm worried about what's going on in my goddamn backyard. I'm fixing my backyard first before I start worrying about somebody else. And this is the issue. Every time you bring up to black culture that there are a lot of black people on welfare, Section 8, and fathers not raising their children, and a lot of broken homes, we bring up other cultures to justify our behavior because there's no accountability. I don't give a damn what nobody else got going on. I give a fuck what we don't got going on, right? But again, I don't care anymore. But if you sit down and have these conversations, a lot of us are going to get mad. Watch this narrative again. Let's just say this. If I catch one of my children stealing and the other one goes, he did it too, they both getting beatings regardless. But if you can go back to reality and God snap back into reality, we can see that we are the culture that's actually hurting ourselves. We work against ourselves. We don't harvest anything because we don't plant anything. We don't create institutions that we can funnel our $1.6 to $2 trillion through. When I see things like the average black dollar stays in the community less than 40 minutes to an hour, what are we saying here? Who's to blame? Because a lot of us have to, you know, during COVID, I watched the line around the corner at the Louis Vuitton store. You know, during COVID, the Louis Vuitton Hennessy owner became the world's richest man for a while. He became the world's richest man. But again, now we're going to sit back and blame somebody else, right? Who made him that? The money that they gave during COVID, they gave right back to the wealth. The wealthy benefited the most of the negligence and ignorance of our culture. Our culture has some very ignorant ways. And if we don't start weeding out this ignorance, it's going to ultimately create the next generation to be worse than the last generation. Tupac said a line, I want y'all to hear this. We're going to raise a race of babies who's going to hate the ladies, right? Bring up that line. I want to say that line right. Bring up that line. Y'all please tell me that this is not prominent today. It's not true. Tupac said this line to this day that is still relevant to this day. And that's the culture, guys. I want to go on live and say this while I'm here. A woman could never be my enemy. Sisters, I love you enough to tell you I got bigger fish to fry. I'm out there trying to kill whale, and you worry about trying to kill a fish at the shoreline. I'm in the deep oceans, spear hunting, big whale. I'm not chasing these little fish and guppies. Because I'm going to tell you something. People will always pull on your feet when you're standing above them. People will always pull for your feet when you're standing above them. And this is what y'all don't understand, that when you start standing above people, they're going to always pull for your feet. You can't worry about the little nagging ants when you're bigger than them. Sometimes we make these little small problems big problems because we don't realize that we have the power and we can execute things that can elevate our positioning. I tell people all the time, they say, yo, we don't have any communities. I created a community that I allow my people to come into and we can actually elevate. Anybody that want to join my community, actually leave it in my DM community, and I'm going to definitely add you to my community. Because I realize one thing, you have to create a community in order to elevate a community. It's not about where you're from, it's where you're going. It's not about where you're from, it's where you're going. Because I'm going to tell you something, if somebody's so proud of where they're from, they can't see where they can go. Because they still stuck in where they from. There are people who will brag about they from Atlanta, Texas, Philly, Brooklyn, and they have never left them areas mentally. They so caught up in those areas that they can't see that they can grow past those areas. And that's our issue in our culture. A person asked me where I'm from, I said, no matter where I'm from, it's where I'm at. It doesn't matter where I'm from, it's where I'm at and where I'm going. Because I don't look in the rearview mirror when I drive, I look forward. I don't look in the rearview mirror when I drive, I look forward, right? We'll have a race of babies. I want y'all to hear this good. We have a race of babies that hate the ladies, that makes the babies, right? And since a man can't make one, he has no right when and how to tell a woman how to create one. We have a race of babies that hate the ladies. Am I bugging? Guys, am I bugging? Or is it me? I'm going to ask this question. Somebody answer this. You don't feel like these dudes hate women? Is it me? No, I'm not trolling right now. I'm asking a real question, right? It don't feel like these dudes hate women? Yo, a dude told me the other day, sell out chilling with a shorty to come chill with him to do nothing. I said, you crazy, boy. Ain't no zest in my tank, fam. You got me twisted. Don't get me wrong. We can have homeboy night and go watch a football game, fam. But my family comes first. My family come first. If you putting your homeboys before your family, you are diabolical. That is diabolical. Ain't no homeboy come before my children. You got me all the way messed up. And if he's really my homeboy, he'll understand that logic. And if you agree, I think y'all should be tapping the heck out of that damn screen. There's no way in hell you're going to make me feel that I should go worry about being around a man before I worry about my kids. You got dudes that'll spend more time with their homeboys than their own goddamn children. I'm going to tell you the scariest thing a man can say to me, and I want y'all to hear this. A man should never, ever say, oh, I have to babysit my children. You got to babysit your children? Wait, did he just say he got to babysit his children? Yo, we got to change these narratives, guys. We are a very disrespectful culture when it comes to respecting ourselves. We are a very disrespectful culture when it comes to respecting ourselves. I want to say this, my ladies, y'all got to realize that being half naked is never going to add value to you. It's only going to bring people that's looking for a lay. And if somebody say you're going to get upset, it's because you don't want to hear the truth. My brothers, if you bag a woman with showing her finances, don't be mad if she expects finances. Let me say that again. If you bag a woman with your finances, don't be surprised that she expects finances. It's that simple. Common sense.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Babysitting your own kids is so disrespectful.
But again, that's how the culture has become. I gotta babysit my kids. What? Remember the Russell Westbrook meme? What? What? Like, come on, guys. Come on. And I want to give this right now today. As easy as we could take shots, we could also give flowers. Because the one thing is, if you break something down, you got to be willing to build it back up. Let me say that again. If you break it down, you have to be willing to build it back up. So to my women out here right now who's striving every day, who don't really have no man helping them in raising these children to the best of their ability, let me give you a round of applause. To my men that wake up every day, provide, tired, body aching, sleepy, headache, and everything else in between, but they get off their behind because they earned the right to be called a man, let me give you a round of applause. To my brothers and sisters who have come from certain people and they've broken past certain generational trauma and curse, let me give you a round of applause. To the people that's striving to be the best version of themselves every day, when society say you will not, you say I will. When they say you're not possible, you say I am possible, because the word impossible itself says that I am possible. Let me give you a round of applause. For those who are goal chasing and not giving up on their dreams, their goals, their aspirations, and not making no excuses, but realizing that they are the determining factor to their success, let me give you a round of applause. And lastly, to anyone that understands that elevation requires separation, you have to realize that some of y'all are not elevating because you're not willing to separate yourself from nothing that's allowing you to elevate. There are people that's holding you back and you don't see that they're holding you back. In order to recreate a mind, the mind has to go into environments that make them comfortable. You have to be very uncomfortable in order to become the new comfort with self. When you're willing to remove yourself from environments, right? Most people don't want to move on because of the fact that they're comfortable. And comfort is the devil. Comfort is the devil. Because comfort will give you a false pretense of success when you don't realize that you're not successful because you believe that you are based on your comfort. Comfort can make you feel like you're somewhere you're not. I'm going to tell y'all something. The only person to blame with ourselves losing is the person that don't want to hold themselves accountable to their decisions. I want to say this on my live, guys. I always have a source. And the source that I reference a lot is the Bible. I don't push my religion or my beliefs on nobody, but I do believe that the Bible is a source. It's a source. And I want to ask you this. Somebody answer this. Turn on the mic real fast. Vivian, you answer this question. I want you to answer this quick, Vivian. So watch this question. If I lost, or you lost your keys, what do you have to do?
Find them.
So you have to look for them?
I have to look for them.
The Bible says, a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. What is the action word?
The man that finds you.
So he has to find it, right?
Yes.
So that means that he's telling you that there are a lot of people that aren't meant to be wives.
Yes.
He's telling you that you have to find it.
Yes.
So to my men that understand the value of a virtuous wife, the Bible says you have to find it.
She doesn't find you. He finds her.
And on longest journey, he will. Right? And naturally, the woman that you should choose is the woman that challenges you out of your comfort. Not disrespect you. Not make you emasculate you. We talking about, hey, so you're not going to go work again? You're not saving your money? Those annoying women become great queens. Those annoying women that we complain about become great queens. An annoying woman, right? We talking about challenging you for the better self, becomes a great queen. Because a great partner is not one who's going to feed your ego even when you're wrong. She's going to challenge your thought pattern so you can think different. She's in her logic. She's in her sense. She respects you as her king, but she knows that in order for her to see you as a king, you got to represent yourself as a king. Guys, we got to realize that we're the one to blame. We're the one creating broken families. We're the ones not believing in marriage. I'm asking you this next question. Tyler, you got the mic? Do Asians believe in marriage?
Yes, they do.
Do Indians believe in marriage?
Yes, they do.
Do Hispanics believe in marriage?
Yes, they do.
Do black people believe in marriage?
50-50.
And this is why we're losing. If you don't have families, you don't build wealth. If you don't have families, you don't build wealth. Wealth is built in families. And until we get that locked in our brains, we're going to continue to be broke. We're going to create the race of babies. It's going to create the babies. It's going to hate the babies. Come on. This is what we're doing. So I'm going to ask this question to y'all in my live before I get out of here today. Who's to blame? I want to ask all y'all, matter of fact, in the studio. We can start with whoever want to start first. Who you think is to blame?
Ourselves.
Why? Why do you think it's us? I'm listening.
We don't really apply anything. We don't really go out to achieve anything as a group together. We always about me for everything.
I agree.
Selfish.
I agree. Next.
I think it's ourselves as well. It's the egos, it's the envy, it's the jealousy, the hatred within ourselves. We don't invest. We don't pour into each other. We drain each other. And that's what's really hurting our culture.
Wow.
Ourselves, of course. And like I said, it's a whole list of things, but ego and pride are the main two.
Good.
I believe it's ourselves, mainly because the lack of education, also ignorance, and laziness. I must say, laziness is a big one.
Let me ask you a question. You ever see two, say 3-year-olds play together? And
Yes.
they different ethnicities?
Yes.
Do they see the color of each other?
No.
So who taught them that?
I guess.
Hate is taught. Racism is taught.
Yeah.
Prejudice is taught.
The influences from the TV or the school or the parents.
All kids.
Friends.
If adults, you see how children, when they first meet each other, they become like best friends?
Yes, often.
If adults could have that mentality.
Childlike mentality.
Yes. No, he gonna hurt me. I never done nothing to you. You can't treat me like that. I've never done anything to you. If adult can think like a child, see you from the day one, and love on you, that's when we come back successful.
Well, that's a Christ-like love that he tells us to have. You know?
I agree 100%. But guys, let me give y'all a round of applause. Before I get out of here, I'm gonna say this. If we don't look at the fact that we're not doing anything that's helping the culture, because the worst thing I hate is when people tell me they're from the hood, but they don't do nothing for the hood. Stop wearing that neighborhood you come from as a badge of honor when you don't want to do anything back for that community. That community maybe need to see a person like you that made it out. I went to my neighborhood last night, my old neighborhood, and I got so much love. So many people were so happy to see me. I'm so proud of what you're doing. I think a great king or queen is one who gives hope to the hopeless. And there are a lot of people who are hopeless. I think a great king or a great queen is one who gives hope to the hopeless. And I think a lot of people don't see that they're not giving hope to the hopeless. So I'm asking, who's to blame? But yourself. Until next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.